Now we're good. Okay, we're live. So hello everyone. This is Jo rocking the cotton candy hair. You may recognise her otherwise from the Well and Future Hub. Jo was doing her student placement here. Starting out a new career in community services, but then Jo has got a really exciting and extensive background in as an entrepreneur. You own, how many businesses is it that you own? I always forget.
Well, technically I own two, but I buy and sell. So I start and I sell. So it can be any number at any time really, but at the moment it's currently two. That's where we're filming today, in my daughter's little office. She's got her own little business, so I thought it would be a great setting to do the Zoom today. She's got a little legging business, so.
Absolutely, yeah. This is really exciting, and you were telling me, and I know this from what you told me before, is that she was featured in Total Girl. Is that correct?
Oh, she's going to be featured. So she's got to do an interview first. She's got to get over her nerves. She's a bit like her mother.
Wow,
we could talk everybody's ear off, but when it comes to the camera to the camera, basically, we get a bit nervous. So we're going to work through that. Yeah.
It's definitely always a different story on the camera. I think it's so much harder, but it's a huge achievement. I think most people watching will know Total Girl. I certainly grew up reading it, and I think that goes to show the magnitude of what she's achieved. And how old is she?
She's 9. She's turning 10 in June. Yeah,
that's awesome. And what was her idea?
It was a quirky legging range because she's really into bright clothes and fashion. So she could never find leggings bright enough that she wanted, or just quirky with little prints. And the ones she did find, they were never comfortable. They always sort of sat down the back of her butt. So yeah. So
do you hate that about leggings?
I know. So she took a lot of time, nearly 18 months, I think 12 samples with the fit. Like, she frustrated me to no end. She's like, Mum, you've got to want to live in them. They've got to be so comfortable. And that's the feedback we have got from them. So yeah, she's going to do pretty well. So we're excited for her launch in about 2 weeks' time.
That is awesome. And what gave her, so what was her process for actually, I heard today that she was about to launch her website. What's been the steps that are leading up to this until now?
Well, with her website, basically we had to work out, first of all, we sort of talked about sort of patterns and things she wanted on her leggings, and then we had to get a tech designer and a pattern maker. So we tried with a standard legging pattern to begin with, and we just weren't getting the fit that we wanted. And then we tried with different materials. So it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of samples. Basically, we went through all that. We found a great tech pack designer, a great textile designer, awesome pattern maker, and then we went through the hassle of finding a good factory that could provide the right amount of leggings, and also that was ethical as well, that looked after their workers really well. We've got a great family factory. They are in China, but one of Ollie's goals is to get them made in Australia. But at the moment, until we get some funds behind the business, it's not really achievable, but it will be one day. And then she's had to write a lot of the copy for the website. That has been tweaked a little bit, even though she's got better spelling than me. And just the layout, she's basically, she had to do a little photo shoot with her friends, and that's something that she's wanting to change. Her brand is about making girls feel good about themselves, but not just about how they look, about the actual personality, about, it's okay if people think you're weird or you're geeky, or you're loud, or you're really quiet. It's okay to love your personality and who you are as a core, not just the outside of who you are as well, which I think is really important. So that's been a big thing behind it. So another goal is to also show diversity in her photo shoots moving forward. She did a photo shoot with her school friends, but moving forward, she does want to include different cultures, and also even disabilities, girls that are in wheelchairs and all that, because it is about empowering girls to love themselves, however they are.
That's fantastic. So there was this real undercurrent about body positivity, and so she really wanted to promote that in girls her age as well.
Yeah. So it is body positivity, but also personality positivity, because often we are taught, if you're not one of the cool girls or the it girls, then it's you're not of any value, sort of thing. But there is value in everyone. There's value in the girl who's really cool and into fashion, and there's value in the girl who's really into science and is in a wheelchair or whatever. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's just about making girls feel good. And I say girls, and we copped a little bit of flack about this in some marketing groups that we've did some beta testing in. And they said, no, you need to be inclusive of kids, now, what if boys want to wear your leggings and all that stuff? And that would be fantastic if boys want to wear the leggings, that's great. But we had to really think about if this brand was to go into a big box store like Kmart or Target, where it would actually be located.
Wow, yeah, I wouldn't have even thought of that, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to think, and I get this question a lot, people go, but I want to sell to everybody. Everybody is my target audience. And it's okay for everybody to buy from you, but you still need a target audience. If you don't, it's going to be really hard to make consistent money or you're going to need a lot of marketing money because you're going to have to try and reach everybody. But once you've got your market, it doesn't mean if your market's say 10 to 12-year-old girls, it doesn't mean that a 15-year-old boy still can't buy your product. They can buy your product, but it's just not marketed to them. It's like my daughter wanted a Transformer shirt, so I knew that I would find that in the boys section of Kmart. It doesn't mean she couldn't buy it. It just meant that it wasn't targeted in her area for her to buy. So we've had a lot of discussion around that, and should we say kids or should we say for girls and boys? But we really had to lock down our target market. We would love if boys buy it. It's open, it's gender neutral. That's not the issue, but we needed a target market, and it is girls aged from 4 to 12. So
great. Yeah. It was great that you touched on that too, because I was going to ask you today about target market, and it's certainly something I'd love to revisit as well. But I remember too, I think this is the youngest entrepreneur, or one of the youngest entrepreneurs I've ever heard of. What motivated your daughter to become an entrepreneur?
Well, she likes spending money.
Don't we all?
She's really into science and space, and she wants to go into a space camp in year 9, and it's quite a fair bit of money. And she's been talking about this as if she's going, And I just said to her, you really need to start thinking of an idea about, year 9's 14, you're probably only going to be just old enough to get a job like at Macca's, and that's not going to be long enough to save. So where do you think this money is coming from? And it really made us stop and think. I said, let's really think about a business idea. And I was sort of thinking, we're going to go and sell cupcakes at a market store a couple of Saturdays a month, or I'm going to make bath bombs. She's going to make bath bombs or something, but she's like, I want my own legging range. And I was like, oh, right. Okay.
We're starting big.
Yeah. And admittedly, I thought it would be a bit easier than what it was. I hadn't done anything in the fashion space before. So there is a bit, I didn't realize that it would take a lot, as in the pattern design and all that sort of stuff, and even the licensing of the prints and a few other things. But we came so far, so we sort of, every little step we did, we were just like, well, we're not going back now. We're going to launch. And and she put so much effort in and time into it. But basically the driving factor was, one, she wants to do things, so she needs money. 2 was the fact that she does want to help a girls or child charity linking. She probably would like to somehow incorporate that with kids in business, or something to do with some organisation that helps kids launch businesses.
That's fantastic.
And she just wants to make girls feel good. She wants to brighten up the world and all that sort of stuff. So she's always worn bright clothes, bright leggings. We've always been stopped whenever we've gone to the show or anything like that. Japanese tourists wanting to take photos of her, things like that. So but it is interesting as she's progressed with age. She's not as bubbly, as loud as what she was. She's talkative, but she's a lot more reserved now. But her clothing is bright, so it's quite
sort of reflects her person. It was what you said before. It's personality pride as well, and being proud of who you are and expressing yourself in the way that you express yourself. But I think what's so cool about what you've been saying is that, you can get so much out of, being an entrepreneur, especially as a young person. You don't have to wait to be the minimum working age to, get a job in retail or fast food. You can start whenever you want. You have freedom. You can make a difference in the world and have an impact on the causes you care about,
And you can start with nothing as well. often people think, oh, I need a lot of money behind me to start, but you could do something in even service based. So you could, wash, like, if you're an outdoorsy person, you could wash local like wheelie bins. You could say, I can wash your wheelie bin once a fortnight, for $10. I mean, that's a job that most people don't have time to do and would love to outsource. So
I would definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, that could be as easy as putting up a flyer at Woolies with your phone number saying, $10 wheelie bin clean. You could actually then build that up to have other kids working for you to service the neighborhood, where you take a cut, like $2 from each bin that you sign up, but you take all the phone calls. So and that can actually start from nothing other than a printed piece of paper and put up on Woolies. And word of mouth does spread as well. And people will see you hosing out the wheelie bin saying, can you do mine, sort of thing. So
yeah, exactly.
You really don't need to start with, big capital or anything like that as well. So so service is a great way to start if you don't have a lot of startup. Think about what you can offer. Could it be tutoring? Could it be babysitting? This mightn't be the end game to what you want to do, but you never know. It could also lead to something. You could run a babysitting agency. You could start off a tutoring school.
Absolutely. So it's sort of just about working with what skills you have, and so once you know your skills, you can sell those skills to people and pay you for it.
Yeah, and again, you could start out. I know this for a fact too. I worked with a cleaner, and she was having a baby, and she was fully booked all the time. She said, "Jo, I'm so scared that I'm going to lose all my business because I'm going to be on maternity leave for 6 months." And I said, she's Brazilian. She's got a lot of Brazilian family here, and I said to her and friends, I said, why don't you see who wants to clean for you, and you just take a cut of the jobs that you're booking for them. So, provided that's all ethical and they're all getting paid the right amount of money and all that sort of stuff, and they've got working visas. So she did that, and it's now been 2 years, and she hasn't had to go back to cleaning. And her business is booked solid. I think she's got 5 cleaners under her. She's not making millions of dollars, but she's making enough to have a wage a week where she's giving 5 people employment, and she's also making a little bit of side income, and she doesn't have to even pick up a broom.
That's fair. So you can create not only your own job, but eventually if you work really hard at your own business, you can create jobs for other people as well, and have people work for you.
Yes, that's it. That's one of the good things about it too, is employing other people and learning from other people that you employ as well. I mean, they often bring lots of different skill sets that you don't have yourself.
Absolutely. So you get to have like a new sort of freedom in that as well. If you're used to just working as an employee, you can have, sort of a different working relationship with people overall. If you decide to try out this road. So I think that's a really cool element too. And Jo, you've told us a lot about your daughter's journey as an entrepreneur, but I know you've also got a really exciting journey as an entrepreneur. Can you tell us like a little bit of a sort of what your path to where you are now looks like, and how that shaped you as a person, and how, kind of the things that you learned along the way?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think I've always been entrepreneurial. Since I was a kid, I was always like selling things, buying things. And I think I had a good understanding of marketing without actually knowing what marketing was from a young age.
That's interesting.
I remember my friends and I, we made all these little gifts to take to the old people's home that were around the area. And I had decided I was going to give mine and they were going to sell theirs. They had decided to sell theirs. And I actually came back at the end of the day with more money and treats, little biscuits and chips and all that than they did, because I realized that generation didn't actually like being sold to. They actually found it insulting for kids to come and want money. But when I went with an actual gift saying, I made this for you, and went around, all these old people were like, oh, here, have a packet of chips, or here's 20 cents or whatever. And even though I didn't understand the concept then, in some way I knew that that area of target market wasn't going to like little kids coming up and saying, can we have money for my picture, sort of thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So some things I think you sort of have in you, and I think other things you learn as you go. But basically, I've been in business since I was 17. Well, I left school at 14 and I did a hairdressing apprenticeship. I basically lived, breathed hair, absolutely loved it, went to awards, won a lot of awards. Just basically, you couldn't get me out of the salon. And I went into business, I think I was 17, just about to turn 18. I'm pretty sure I couldn't sign some documents, so I might have been 17, 18. And I went on to by another 6 salons. And by the end of the time with my salons, it was more about buying a salon that had sort of been run down or not doing that well, and then going in, building up into a profit, building a team so that I could sell it then to someone who, like even an investor, someone like to show that I had a profit without me actually doing a lot in there. So that was most of my career. And then when I had my daughter, I stumbled across this thing called blogging. And I had really no clue. I couldn't understand why people would write just to put on a website just for the sake of it. Like when I started blogging, people were like, no, if you get paid for a blog, you're not a real blogger. Like you don't make money off your blog. And I remember
wasn't a thing back then, was it?
No, it was actually very taboo. Like if you made money, like no one disclosed that they made money or that they were doing paid sponsorship or anything. And I remember thinking, well, I'm going to do this, but how can I make money from it? So I basically learned. I read countless things, I mimicked, I watched so many people, and I launched a blog with a friend, and it went viral, and we were able to sell out for a good amount of money. Someone approached us and we sold out. And then from that, I had so many people saying, how are you doing this? And I ended up down this track of teaching people how to make money from their website and having different income streams. And that's another thing I think in business too. Like it's good to have multiple income streams. Like I'd say around 5 different income streams coming in for your business in some way or another. Is what's best. So I basically went down that road, and out of that I got into a lot of startup work. So and I've started up a few companies. So basically I start up companies and then sell them, or I work with other companies that have an idea or that need an idea, and we'll come up with something. So my role is very diverse, and that's what I like about it, because I think I'd get bored doing the one thing. And I'm definitely always learning as well. Like it's a continual thing. Some things I've learned from making mistakes, which is another big thing in business as well. Like you will make mistakes if you can mimic. If you can get around, if you've got a business idea and you can get around someone who's already done it, that's a really great way to start, because they'll often be able to tell you where they've gone wrong, and then you'll be able to avoid making those mistakes. But if you start out and you do make mistakes, just take it as a lesson, and take it as you're just testing everything in your business, basically. I mean, it can be painful as well, especially if money's involved. I mean, there's been times where I've lost money in business by decisions I've made and stuff. And, and then things have come along again. You're like, no, I know what to do here. And in the long run, you've actually made money from it. So it's not always, you can't always see the big picture. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think what's so amazing about that story is that, you might not feel like you are good at school, or you might find school to be like a really negative experience. But as long as you've got like this mindset of, hey, I want to pursue this passion, I'm willing to learn in my own way, and then I'm willing to, do what it takes to succeed in this. Like you said, you did school until you were 14, and then you went down this alternative path that has led you to like a really successful, awesome career. So yeah, I think it's a really inspiring takeaway, is that sometimes, school doesn't work out for some people, but this can be another opportunity or another pathway.
And that's so true. Like school wasn't for me. I probably, looking back now, and because I can see a lot of this in my son, is I probably couldn't comprehend a lot. I was a very visual learner, and back then visual learning wasn't a real, a thing. It was all textbook, and I actually couldn't comprehend the questions. So therefore I really struggled answering, which made me go off into my own daydreaming tangents about business and doing other things outside of school. But I do believe though that you should keep learning through life. So even if school's not for you, it doesn't mean, well, I can't learn anything. It just means that you need to find what it is that you're interested in, or what it is that there's things to do with business that I still don't want to learn about, but I will, because I have to, especially if I don't have that funds in that area to apply to it. I'll still have to go and learn it. But then as, a business grows and I've got money to outsource, then I'll get an expert in that area to come in and work, and then I'll normally learn what they're doing anyway.
Absolutely. So
it's not about not wanting to learn. It's about just finding different ways to learn. Like now it's so great with the internet. You can watch YouTube. They had that around for us when we were at school. It would have been so much easier, like just to be able to watch people. Yeah.
you can learn in the way that fits for you, or the way that makes sense for you. And I think it's really important for people my age or younger to see that you can be successful, and you don't need to have like a business degree from Harvard or some kind of exquisite like experience that makes you like a king of the world. You can, like, you know, you can start out wherever you are and you can still become really successful.
And now's such an exciting time, especially for young ones, because it's the best time to be in business, because you can actually have a product. You could go to China, grab a product, get a sample of a product, be happy with that sample, get your branding done on it, order 100 of them, or even just shoot a video of your sample, upload it to YouTube or to Facebook, let it go, get it to go viral with some, you know, funny video, and take pre-orders, and there's your business. So we could never do anything like that back when I started. So even to do with hairdressing, like now you can upload you doing people's hair, and that's how you book appointments.
That's right.
Hairstyles. So it's really exciting time to be in business, and I think anyone can do it. You've just got to have you've got to have the passion, but some businesses don't even start from that. They do just start from a viral video. I know Paris Hilton, I was watching something with her. She was talking with her friend, and they actually ran this test where they said, we're going to put this dog in like this silly baby nappy capsule thing, and they put it up, and they said, this is our business we're launching. And because they've got so much influence, people are like, where do we buy, where do we buy, where do we buy? And they've actually created these little side businesses basically on how stupid of an idea can we put together to see what people buy. Now that's called selling through influence, because they're wanting to do what those guys are doing. But it does go to show you the power of social media and having access to what we do today.
It's a whole new world, isn't it? This digital world, those opportunities, you know, you can create a landing page in 10 minutes and you know, all of that sort of thing. So it makes it easier than ever, right?
Yeah. And don't be, you don't want to copy someone's work word for word, but if you've found a landing page that works really well, as in their sales copy, and you're selling a product too, don't be scared to use the same format that they've used. I mean, you're not copying their logo and copying everything else, but look at, if you're seeing something that's working, and normally you'll know if something's working because you've actually clicked through. It's engaged you enough to click through to the website and want to look at buying it. So, you know, I'm always screenshotting sales copy if it's been proven to work, and I can guarantee that person's done it as well. And in marketing, that's what they say. They say if you can mimic something that's already been proven to work, it's a good way to know that, you know, it's going to continue to work. So
absolutely, no need to reinvent the wheel. You can just
that's exactly it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Definitely. That's a really great sort of gold nugget piece of advice to take away, is that, you know, use what other people have done, change it slightly, of course, to make it fit whatever you're doing. But like you say, it's all about knowing what works, and then, you know, sort of going by that formula, that tried and trusted formula.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if you could go back to when you're first starting out in business, so 17-year-old you, what kind of conversation would you have with fresh in business, sort of just left school not so long ago, and what would you tell her?
I would probably say, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the best at everything. I think for me, it took a long time. When I first started in the salons, I thought I had to be the best. I had to be the best hairdresser and everything. And as I went along, I actually realized, hold on a sec, I need to probably be the worst. Okay, I need to be the best boss, but as in my skill set and stuff, surrounding myself with other people who are better than me actually made me better. So I think setting aside your ego sometimes, when people think you're starting out, I'm my own boss, or I'm this, it's not so much about being a boss. Is more about helping managing people and tasks. It's not so much about micromanaging or
shutting people down
and that sort of stuff. So I think I would say you don't have to be perfect at everything. You don't have to be the best. Surround yourself with the best if you can at that time. But if not, learn as much as you can. But also that it's not easy working for yourself. So I think I remember, I mean, I loved going into business, but I didn't realize like I would be working the most hours that you sort of think. I remember a friend saying to me, can you come away for the weekend? And when I had my first salon, I said, I've got to work. And they said, but you're the boss. And I remember saying, it's because I'm the boss that I can't come away. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Really important piece of advice.
Yeah. But in saying that, it's so rewarding too, because you do get to a point where you can be like, well, you know, you're now funding holidays to go away, and you've got systems in place that you can leave your business and things like that. But definitely in startup, and that's where I have spent a lot of my career, it's not easy. So, but I think if you get systems and resources and that in place at the beginning, it is a lot easier. But if you think, well, this money's going to roll in and I'm going to be at the pub every night, well, for the young kids, we're going to be at what is it, time zone?
Yeah. That's it. Whatever your vice is, I guess.
yeah, that's it. But it's rewarding. It's hard, but it's rewarding. And also, I shouldn't just say business doesn't have to be hard. Not all businesses are hard. Some are set up there's just passive income while you sleep, especially if you're selling new products. So, but it was definitely harder starting out than what I thought, and especially when it comes to managing people.
Definitely.
Which might be a bit down track if you're just starting out, but I found that managing people is a whole job role in its own.
I've heard that too, because it's about relationships and all sorts of things, right, that we never even would have considered before having to do it. So, And
a lot of people even outsource that job. That's why they put managers in, because they don't want to deal with that side of things.
Absolutely. And and kind of related to that, what was the number one like misconception that you had about business when you were young?
Probably, I guess, I'm trying to think, probably
because you kind of touched on like a few earlier about things like you don't need money, for example, to start off with. That's, I know, a common misconception about business, that you don't need to have a business degree, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I never thought that though, to be honest. For me, and this might sound weird to some people, but I didn't even know that university was an option. My family was great and all that, but university just was never spoken about. I actually thought university was something from a Sweet Valley High book. And if you're around my age, you'll know what that is, because they always talked about university. So there was never, for me, I was never going to be a doctor, anything like that. I was always going to be a fashion designer. And it wasn't until I was doing this other course that was meant to bring me up to speed to be year 10 level, because I left in year 9. So I was doing that at TAFE part-time. And my teacher there, she really took me under her wing, and we went over for a tour of this other campus, and there was this hairdressing salon there. And I don't think I'd maybe had my hair cut in the hairdressers once or twice in my life. And I walked in there and I said, this is what I'm going to do.
So you just kind of knew?
Yeah, I just knew. And she's like, well, the cutoff for they're only taking 12 or 14 girls, and they've already got over 100 applicants, and the cutoff's already done. And I just said to them, please just let me have an interview. And they did. They got me an interview, and I got one of the spots. So, and the rest was history after that.
I love this approach that you tend to have about, you just don't take no for an answer when it comes to business, or when it comes to a dead end. You just say, this didn't work, but what else will work?
Well, I mean, you remember our conversation with Steve around the resume writing, even when he suggested, I'm not sure where company what Steve's from, but he was saying, get your foot in the door, go and make people, see your face. If you've got a job that you want to go to. I remember this young girl, she wanted to be a hairdresser so bad, and she was a bit young, and she used to always come in, she'd say, have you got a job for me? And I say, no, but she just come back all the time, and her mum used to get her hair done in the salon, and eventually, like, I put her on as a tea and tidy, basically because she was always in my face. Like, and I thought, this girl, I've got to give her a chance, because she's obviously wants us bad enough. She's not taking what I'm saying as no. She's saying, oh, come on, sweep floors, I'll do anything. Just, I want to work here. And if she hadn't been persistent, I wouldn't have found her phone number and called her up. Yeah. So.
Absolutely,
it is, I think, and that's where the passion comes back, I think. It's just saying, like, no, look, and if there is someone, if you're showing interest to someone, even in a job interview, and you're not even qualified for it, you're like, no, I want to work here. I would love to work here. I'll do anything. Or, I'll make the coffees. I'll do whatever you need. It's really hard for someone to turn away from that.
Because it's that determination, isn't it? That, wow, this person, like, they've clearly got the attitude. They can learn anything else they need to learn, like you did. But as long as they've got that attitude.
And energy too. The energy is contagious. And you want to be around someone who, is upbeat and wants to be there. There's nothing worse than working with people who don't want to be there. So
Absolutely. Oh, they're such cool advice so far, so many gold nuggets. And I know that just a little bit before we kind of all shut down, we were talking about, you sort of did a workshop around a business pitch and building a business plan and why this is important. Just wondering, can you give us like a bit of a rundown about what a business pitch and a business plan is and how that can help you take your business to the next level?
Yeah. Well, a business pitch, depending on where you're starting out, it can be, you could just be pitching it to your parents. You might need $300 to buy the supplies to start your bath bomb business. So you basically, what you want to do is you want to have something in writing that shows, so we'll go off a bath bomb business as an example. You're going to want to know, do you need permits? Is there anything that you need to put onto your labels? Like you want to know your ingredients you're putting in there. Are you going to need insurance because it's going onto someone's body? How much it's going to cost you, the supplies, and what you're going to sell them for. Now, what you're going to sell them for, I've actually worked with businesses before that sell loads of units of stock, but because they wanted to enter themselves into the market as the cheapest, they haven't allowed margins enough to grow. So even though they're making all this money, when it's come to outsourcing work now, because they've got so much workload, they're actually not profiting as much as what they should be because they haven't allowed in their margins. So they might say, well, we want to come in as the cheapest and we're selling this cheap product, but you can't grow. You can only stay at a level and you might be able to profit still well, but you're never going to scale. So it's important to know like what you're going to sell your product for, your target market, who is aimed at, who you're going to sell to. So that might be all stuff that you'd put in a pitch if, say, you're talking to Bendigo Bank for sponsorship, or just your parents, or another friend who you want to come into business with, or something like that. If you were going on a larger scale, where you're working with investors, it can be a couple of different things. So if you're in the startup phase, you're going to want to show a proof of concept. So that could have been, you could have set up a better group where, all these people are raving about the product, or maybe you've started a GoFundMe page where you've already started off some funding, or is it Quickstarter?
Oh, yes, something like that, yeah.
Where you've actually sold a certain amount of units. So you've actually proven that people want it, but now you're needing the revenue from an investor to actually get the manufacturing done or reduce costs so that you can actually make money. So you really need to put in everything in that pitch. Depending on who you're pitching to, you need to put everything into it. Now, if you're in startup, you're probably going to have to, I should also say that in exchange for money, you're going to give up some equity of your business. So you're going to give up a percentage of what your business is to your investors. So say you're in startup, you might actually have to give a bigger chunk of your business than what you wanted to, because if there's a bigger risk involved, and they also need to know that they're going to get a return for the money that they're going to give you. That's if you're working with investors. I've worked with investors in the past where it can also be strategic around what they have to offer as well. They've already been an established company, and part of the investment that they gave was actually staff hours with their staff that they already had on their team, which worked out well because it wasn't no longer draining money from my company in those areas, but they were able to, allocate certain hours as well as money, but that was all tied into the equity. So there can be different ways of structuring it. Some investors will just give you money and not have anything to do with it other than your quarterly or annually meeting, however it's structured. And others will have a role where, like I said, they've got experts from their company injecting and want to know the whole way along. So really know whether, do you need investment is the number one thing. Like, don't just give away your business if you don't have to.
Definitely.
Yeah. And really look at other areas, like where other ways that you could get money. you know, and depending on how much it is. And you really want to make sure, I mean, it's great when you get investors' money, but you also, I feel like sometimes it puts that added pressure because you are, you know, playing with somebody else's money as well. So you want to make sure you've got a good proof of concept. So basically, you would have your business plan together with all your details moving forward, or any data or metrics on how it's already doing or well, or any figures. You want to know your numbers really well, especially if you're going to, you know, big investors and asking for a lot of money. That they'll want to know the breakdown, your average client spend. They'll want to know how much it's costing to get a client to your website, or that's client retention, everything. So that's a lot more involved. But if you would, you've still got to have a business plan, even if you're starting, like I said, the little cupcake shop or little
your bath bomb
shop. You still got to know what your product's going to cost. Is it going to be viable? How much are you going to be able to sell it for? Who's your market you're going to sell it to for that price? Are you going to label it as luxury? Are you going to be the only one that's selling a bath bomb for $55? Do you know what I mean? And that can be done. But are you going to put gold leaf on the outside so it can sell for that? And who's going to be your target market? It's going to be, you know, probably millennials with disposable income. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just it's putting everything, your target market, everything into it. Yeah.
And I think actually what's really, to bring it back to the Shark Tank event we've got coming up as soon as we can set a date safely with the world's pandemic situation. Joe, who you're seeing here today, launched this idea off the ground and made it what it is today. And what's so exciting about Shark Tank is everything you've learned today about getting investors meant that you have to sometimes give something up in return. Whereas what's so exciting is with the Shark Tank opportunity is that local businesses have invested in someone's idea, but they don't actually want anything in return this time around. So
that's unheard of.
It's unheard of, and it's such a cool opportunity. Like, we are so excited to be able to offer this opportunity with you know, no conditions, no strings attached, just $1,000 to start your idea. So you know, you've heard from Joe today how challenging it can be getting investors on board, and so this is really such an easy and such a valuable opportunity, and I really encourage everyone to take it up if they can. But
you can do so much with $1,000 too.
Absolutely. And tell us about, like, for example, with the bath bomb business, are you able to, not to put you on the spot, but you able to give us a rough idea about what a quick pitch for that might look like and how you could use $1,000 to start the business and what your target audience might be?
Yeah, for sure. Well, basically, that's the fun bit. You can come up with a target audience that you want and then build your business around that. So, okay, there's a couple of different ways I could do it. For me personally, I wouldn't want to be making them at home, because I know it's going to get to a stage where I'm going to be making these bath bombs all day, and then I've still got to post the orders out. I've still got to do my social media. This is in startup where it's only me, and most likely going to be only one of the youth, or, you know, the young people starting a business. It will only be you. So you've got to think about, so if it was for me, I would outsource either private label. I would look at companies that have already established beautiful bath bombs, but that can tweak it to how I want. So say I said, look, I want, we'll go down the millennial route. I'm going to target this to 17 to 30-year-old millennials with disposable income that spend a lot of money on beauty. I want them to be pastel pink with gold leaf, and I want the gold to, this is what I'd be saying to my supplier, and I want the gold to, you know, disintegrate in the bath, so it looks like they're having a gold bath or something like that. So I would automatically know that my branding would be luxury. So it would probably be around gold, pastel pinks, that my target market would be 16, 17-year-olds to 30 with disposable income, who, you know, think nothing about dropping $50 on a lipstick. And people will say again, but I want to sell to all girls. But I see it all the time. You know, the girl who is at Priceline in the front bucket bin, which is fine, looking for the $2 lipsticks, is not going to spend $55 on a bath bomb. Now, if
I am that girl, definitely.
It's all right, don't worry. But it doesn't mean that girl will never purchase. If she's got a friend at uni who is into all that stuff and she needs a good birthday present, or it's her 21st birthday, she might go and buy it. So you're not eliminating her.
That's true.
All you're doing is targeting that audience that always wants to buy. Doesn't mean the $2 cosmetic girl is not going to. She just doesn't see value in it for herself, but she can see value in it for someone else. So that's how I would go. So I would source, and I would start with Google. So I would get on Google. I'd be like private label bath bombs, wholesale bath bombs, and then I would be getting samples. I would want list of ingredients. I would want to try them all out. After I was happy with the product, and most of them were tailored products to your needs, you could work on scent, all that sort of stuff. I would then look at your branding with your logo and your packaging, and you can send all that to the same supplier. You could order 50, 100 units. If you can set up your own website on Shopify. There's plenty of tutorials on YouTube to do it. And you could even, if you were still thinking, oh, I'm not sure about this idea, you could even launch a pre-order. You could even say, stock's here in a week, and I'm offering everyone 20% off for early pre-orders, and they'll be posted out on this date. So you can actually then see, if you're not wanting to invest your full $1,000 in stock, because it could be 3 weeks and it's crickets, but then you might take a little bit of that money of the $1,000 and invest it in a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, and see if and target that audience. Target from 17 to 30 millennials. What are their interests? And I target right down to the interests, like what would they be watching on TV? So I could target people who like this, or where would they be going on their weekends, and all that sort of stuff. Definitely. So that's what I'd probably do. A little bit of testing at the beginning. Then once I found a proof of a proof that there is the market and people are buying, I would, if that ad was working, I would duplicate that ad and then add more money onto it as well. So there's a few different things I would do. I like to test before I before I put $1,000 into something. But that's.
So if I can do a bit of a checklist and let me know what I missed, because I'm sure I've missed a couple of things, but just from a mental note. So you said to look at who you're selling it to. Are you selling it to people who want to spend a lot of money, or people who want to save money and just get the bare minimum? Think about, are they female, male, all of that kind of thing. And then the second thing was that you want to think about what makes your product special or unique, or what it is. In this case with the bath bomb, you said, is it going to have gold leaf? Is it going to melt in the bath like gold? What actually makes that product what it is. And then the third thing,
or what makes it different from what makes it stand out.
So what makes it different from every other bath bomb out there that's already being sold. And then the third thing was think about how you're going to market it and advertise it, and what kind of budget you might need to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And what else did I miss? There was so many things there. There was things like, are you going to make it yourself, or are you going to get a supplier?
Yeah.
And any other questions that I haven't covered?
No, I think that's about it. There's probably a lot more, but I think they're really good points to go away with. But also, in saying that with the business, some people, the pleasure in the business is actually making the bath bomb. So there's nothing wrong with that as well. But just know, I start with smaller quantities, and then as you know that you've got proof of concept, then start ordering in bulk. There's nothing worse than having 10 kilos of Epsom salt sitting in the garage because you're not doing it anymore, sort of thing. And if that's what you want to do in the business, is the art side of it, is making it, then you can still grow with that, but eventually you'll have to outsource other parts like the social media or sales or whatever.
So it's totally flexible. If you want to do the creating, then you can do the creating. If you just want to do the advertising and the phone calls, then you can do that. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, that's it. And it is, especially when you're young, it is about having fun. And normally you're, and this is not always the case, but you may have 3 businesses in your lifetime. It might be the third business that you really find something that you're really passionate about. The business doesn't have to change the world or anything like that, although a lot do. It's more about having a go. It doesn't have to be, well, I want to buy, a mansion and give to this charity and this charity and this charity. It could be like, I'd really love to go to this school camp this year. So I reckon if I can make $60 a week from my bath bombs, that's going to get me there. So it doesn't always have to lead to something big, but everything you do, even from a small business, you're going to get so much benefit out, and you'll use those skills into bigger business as well. Yeah.
So another gold nugget, you know, think about what do you really want out of your business. It doesn't have to be really big and profitable unless you want it to be really big and profitable.
Yeah.
It might just be that you make yourself a regular income and that's what you're happy with.
And that's such a big key. And that's something I've really learned along the way too, is really know what it is that you want, because sometimes going bigger, and I found this with the salons too, sometimes bigger wasn't necessarily better. Like we had one of our salons was such a powerhouse that, you know, that salon on its own would sometimes pick up one of the slower salons, you know, but if we just had that salon on its own, we probably would have even done even better. So it's not always about, sometimes people think bigger is better, but it's about really what you want. Do you want to, you know, have a great living where you don't have to work 9 to 5, but you've still got the same income as working for someone else? Do you want that flexibility? A lot of entrepreneurs actually don't want to work for anybody else. So that could be just your goal. I'm happy just to make a wage as long as I don't have to clock in 9 to 5 and answer to anybody. So it just depends. But
well, my hour of power is 11 p.m. So a job that lets me work at 11 p.m. and have that flexibility, you know, that's the dream for me.
Yeah,
so, exactly. I think it's whatever your dream is, you can make it everything else sort of fit around that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, and I'm the same too. I work best at night as well.
Just going to tell you a night out. It's always good to meet another one.
Yeah, I know. I procrastinate in the mornings.
Me too. The mornings are just shocking. No matter how many coffees, but then, you know, come 11, 12, I'm like, okay, now what are we doing?
Yeah, now everyone's in bed.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing's open. Who can I call? Yeah, it's crazy.
I wanted to just touch on one other thing quickly. When you're coming up with your business idea, it's always good to have in mind a problem that you are solving. And
yes.
And some people think sometimes, oh, that means that they've got to solve this huge problem. But it could be like something as simple as the teeth whitening system that you can do at home. That's solving the problem that people that don't like going to the dentist, they still want white teeth, but they don't want to go there. So their market is solving the problem of helping people who want white teeth at home that want to avoid the dentist. And even like, say, for example, Wallens, you want to open up a cupcake shop in Wallen, the problem you could be solving is there is no other cupcake shop in Wallen. So your problem is just that you make it accessible for people to have a cupcake in Wallen. Now, say there were 3 cupcake shops in Wallen already, but you're adamant you still want a cupcake shop in Wallen. And even though the market's flooded, you could bring out a cupcake shop in Wallen that is gluten-free and sugar-free. So now you've solved the problem for people who are gluten-free and that want to avoid sugar can still have a cupcake in Wallen. So you can always find a problem. Once you've found a problem, it's easy to market around that.
Because you're solving something for someone and they're willing to pay for the solution.
They are willing to pay for it. And I've also found that this works across with blogging as well. So say you're blogging, I'll give you an example. You're blogging a recipe. This lady, she's married to a guy from England and she's tried to make Yorkshire pudding for years and always failed. She comes across a Yorkshire pudding recipe on a blog, makes it, her husband raves about it, says this is the best Yorkshire pudding I've ever tasted. She will automatically be connected to that blog because of the affection she's received from her husband in regards to that recipe. So even if she doesn't know it, at some point she'll go back to that blog and revisit it because she is connected to it and she may even purchase something. So there's a lot to do with the psychology behind it as well.
Certainly, I've done that before. Someone's come up with like a hack to help me carry my grocery bags, for example. So it's like, I can take them all in one go if I use this special hack. And then you go back to that source because you're like, oh, they gave me something that helped improve my life, however, in a small scale. And you trust them because of that.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think this type of information, everything that you covered today, can be really, really difficult to access and especially all in the one place. And so that's why I think we've got a bit of a special announcement to make, Jo, do we?
Oh, do we?
we can always trim it out. Is there anything that you would like to announce to us?
Well, this wasn't my intention behind it. But
of course. I approached Jo.
My daughter, who we spoke about earlier on, we are putting together a PDF file that we're going to have up on our website within 2 weeks. And it's basically going to share what I've found in the past is when I've wanted information, it's been sort of skimmed to the top, off the top, or someone has said, go and source this in China, but I've never had any real clear vision of where to go. And I've spent a lot of money researching products and trialing products and sampling products over the years, and I've made a lot of good connections. So I'm actually going to be adding a lot of what I know into this PDF that's going to be available for people to purchase on her website. I'm going to keep it really affordable. We do need to cover costs and that of managing it and updating it. But I do want it to be that if someone wants a business and they're like, well, where do I start if I want a skincare line, or I want to release a serum, that you can go to this book, know that there's suppliers in there for those products, how to go about it, where to go to get your graphic design, where to save money and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to have, and all those sort of tips. And even when starting out, I want to touch on before, don't go spending that $1,000 on branding, okay? Because your branding will grow over time. I know people who are making millions of dollars and they've started off with just their name in white on a black background. So yeah, don't get caught up on things like that. Even though people will tell you you need, your branding is all this, and it is, don't get me wrong, but starting out, let your business grow with it. If you put all your money into that at the beginning, you're going to have no money to grow your business, and your business isn't going to fail. Not fail, but it's not going to do as well. So go use Canva, go do your own artwork, save as much money as you can on that aspect of things, and then go from there. But I will touch base with Emma again, and I'll even give some more valuable information outside of that book as well. And I'll even let you know what's in it as well once we've launched.
That's so exciting. And I think what's so exciting, like from my perspective, is having something that's had a young person involved in creating it. So this is accessible to someone our age as well. It's not just something that's written in a whole bunch of jargon and stuff that we can't understand. Like it's there, and it's easy to read as a magazine, I can imagine. Just easy to understand. And
that's how I am too. Like, I'm not and Emma, I've got the worst spelling and grammar out there. Like I said, I finished school at year 9. I will write it as I speak. It will be very easy to follow, but it's also something that I wish I had early on. And I don't want anyone to make mistakes. You're going to make them anyway, but if you can avoid them, it's going to be what's best. And I'm so passionate about seeing, especially women in business, but kids in general, whatever. But that's just something I've been generally passionate about, and I'll help wherever I can. But yeah, it's really exciting. I love hearing when someone works for themselves. It's not for everybody, but for those who want to take the chance, it's rewarding.
Absolutely. And so where can people keep an eye on? Is there, what's the URL perhaps of the website? And I can pop it in the description too, but.
Yeah, well, the website will be up probably within the next day or two, but the actual link to the product won't be up for 2 weeks because I have to finish writing it and then I need to get it proofed.
Awesome. So maybe stay tuned, and we'll release the link through this video and other means as well. And
for sure. And I'll let you know what's in it as well, because there's nothing worse than buying something and not having what you wanted in it. But I can 100% guarantee, if you want to start a business, there'll be something in there easy for you to start with a minimal outlay. And that's the whole concept around it. It's not, you don't want to go sinking loads of money into something that you haven't found a proof of concept for. But in the meantime, if you want something to do, if you do want to launch your own business, think of a name, go and register the URLs. Once you've got your name, make sure the domain name's available. Go and get the domain in the .com and the .com.au. The .com's good for selling if you want to sell worldwide. If you want to sell Australia-wide, you'll pop your store on the .au, but get both, because you can point the .com to the other domain as well. Go and get all of your Instagram handle, Facebook handle, TikTok, wherever you're going to do it. Make sure your names are available and secure them. And you can even start posting content. So say you're thinking, well, I want to sell the skincare serum. You can start sourcing, some pictures of girls with beautiful skin, or maybe some pictures of product that you want in your skincare, like eucalyptus oil, and then say the healing benefits of eucalyptus oil, all those sorts of things. So, yeah.
I think you talked about like a bit of a mood board when you did your workshops. Yes. Like how you can have this as a big collage, and that kind of inspires you as well, right? To see
that's it.
Visually what you'd love to see your business look like.
Yeah. Go and muck around in Canva. Think about your target market. All right, this serum I'm creating, I want it for women over 50. So what are they going to, what are they going to be more drawn to? Are they going to want bright packaging in their bathroom, or are they going to want something more muted, like just white with, you know, gold writing? Like, really think about your target audience and where this product's going to sit in their house and bathroom. And, you know, do they want bright palm trees on it, or do they want, you know, it to look more botanical, or you know, how is it that you see your product sitting in their bathroom? Start thinking of all that sort of stuff. And then even in Canva, they have labels as well, skincare labels. You can go in there and even, you know, mess around with your labels. But in the book, there will also be what you need on your labels legally if you're going to have a skincare product. So I'm giving away so much knowledge. And this is all knowledge that I've paid for in the past, where I've had my labels. I've had a skincare company and I've had those labels proofed by someone, you know, and even little things like, even little things by where the mills sit on the front that tells you how much in the bottle has to sit a certain way on the label. So there's a lot involved, and how and what words you're not allowed to use, and how you can get your point across without saying that it's, you know, it's not healing, because you're not allowed to say that. It's not a medical thing, it's a skincare thing. So there'll be lots of stuff. So I'm hoping to have things around clothing, makeup, skincare, just other general products, from viral products, all that sort of stuff. And if you want to see what's trending virally, next time you're on Instagram and a product ad pops up, click on it, stay on their site for a few seconds, and you'll start seeing ads of what's coming up viral come up, and you'll be able to show. And I'll also talk on how you can choose.
Nice.
And I'll also talk in the book a bit about how you can choose a viral product, how to know whether it's still got sales in it, like whether it's past its point where it's gone too viral and people aren't buying it anymore. There are people that are doing this just for their income. So they're grabbing a viral product, setting up a lead page and milking it until it runs dry, till it's no longer viral, and then moving on to the next product. And some of these, you know, kids are 18 and they're making 10 or 12 grand a month just from doing that.
And so if you were to put like a price on all of this knowledge that you've accumulated and you've put into this book, if you were to put a price on how much you've paid for that knowledge to get it in the first place, do you know roughly how much we'd be talking?
Well, my husband's watching, so.
It is an undisclosed amount, but I imagine many, many thousands.
It would be definitely in the high thousands. I've done a lot of research, but even just product research in itself, and just hours and hours, you know, this is really, it is a stepping stone. It's a huge stepping stone. It's like, it's actually like taking the boat across, not the stepping stone, to get to here. Yeah.
I like that as an analogy, and it sounds almost like, I like the idea that it's this kind of Bible of everything that you need to know, like a startup Bible, as opposed to just here's a little bit here and a little bit there. It's just like this big, massive thing that tells you everything that you need to know to get going.
And it is so different from others, because I've never had anyone directly tell me links of where to get things, and suppliers. No one ever wants to give up their suppliers or their connections, even if they're not using it. They just think, oh, well, I might use it one day or whatever. But my vision is that people do well, you know. Absolutely. And they're only going to do well if they know how to do it. So, so I'm really excited about launching it.
I'm really excited to read it, and please do keep us posted. We'll certainly, release some more information about this in the coming weeks. And and
I might even give away a few copies.
Then definitely stay tuned for that, because there could be all of this value and even more for those who are interested.
Yeah.
On this same token too, like, I think what's really important to note is that Jo here has volunteered her time on top of the 120 hours that she has already volunteered for us at the One Future Hub. So I just want to give a massive shout out to Jo to say thank you so much. If we were to put a price on your time, we could never ever afford it. And so, you know, we are so grateful for everything that you've given us, everything that you've done for Shark Tank, and everything that you've told us today. You know, it's just infinite value, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Emma. And I got just as much value from the Hub as well, and from you guys, so it works both ways.
Awesome.
Thank you. And I can't wait till I can come back out after this quarantine and hopefully have a coffee.
Absolutely, we're looking forward to it. So thank you again, and just so everyone knows too, Cooking with Franco will be on tomorrow night, and he's done some really fun and exciting stuff so far, and so stay tuned for that at 3:30. And you spoke today to Jo Lawrence, who will be releasing a really exciting announcement very soon. So thanks everyone again for tuning in, and we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you. And I will, I'll stop this recording.